Well, we're getting a heck of a basketball player, big-time competitor, a guy that can play the one or the two, an experienced guy that's not afraid of the moment, a true professional, and a guy that can make big shots.
We're going to bring y'all into our huddle.
Today is Thursday, February 20th, 2014, and you are in the Warriors Huddle with me, Bram, and with me, as always, my boy and producer, Scott.
Scott here.
Scotty, it's our big 50th episode today. Are you into kind of big round number celebrations, or does this feel the same as any other episode?
I am into them because I think anniversaries, birthdays, things like that are a good chance to make you reflect. Oftentimes, we can just go throughout our day without reflecting, so I do think this is an opportunity for reflection.
Have you been reflecting all day, getting ready for the big episode?
No.
Well, it sounds like a missed opportunity for reflection, but nonetheless, Warriors just completed what I think to be a pretty big trade in bringing in Steve Blake, so you know we got big things to talk about. In our Warriors update, we're going to go through that acquisition of Steve Blake, talk about why he makes the team overall and the bench specifically much better, and we'll also go through last night's fairly large victory over the filthy Sacramento Queens. And then in a return to WTH, one inspired again by the All-Star Weekend, we're going to go through what the hell is All-Star Weekend really like. We're going to bring in our boy Tommy, a little bit more sober than his last appearance here, and he's going to tell us what he experienced because he actually went and visited New Orleans and got a chance to see all those things live. Should be kind of interesting, huh?
Absolutely. This is exciting to be part of the second half of the season now.
Yeah, we got a lot of things to look forward to. I feel
28 games left.
It's all coming down to this. Quick show note before we jump into any of them. We are, in fact, still sponsored by Uber, my favorite app for any phone, including the iPhone. Absolutely free to download. If you don't have any money, but you still need a ride somewhere, all you got to do is press a button, and these guys come to you. All right, man, let's jump in. Let's start with the past scores, current standings. Only one game because of the All-Star break since the last time we had a chance to record. That being last night's 101-92 win over Sacramento. The Warriors are now 32-22, 7th in the West, but things are just as convoluted as they were before we hit the All-Star break, Scotty. We are a half a game behind 6th place Phoenix, but we're also only half a game ahead of 8th place Dallas, and we are only 1.5 games ahead of 9th place Memphis. So not a whole lot of clarity there.
A lot to be figured out in the second half of the season. This is going to be a real fun time to be a basketball fan.
You're really focusing on the old second half of the season there, huh?
Yep, it's something that was on my notes. I just keep going back to it.
You're just hitting that over and over again. I feel like you said the exact same thing twice there. Did you feel the same way? Or
that may have actually been my third time this episode that I've said that.
Fair enough. One last piece of logistical news. Mark with the C. Stein just keeps hating and hating huge. Last week, I think we were at 10. Now we are at 12. In fact, last week we were at 11. We had slipped out of the top 10. That trend continues. He's moved us down yet another spot. We're now at 12 looking up. I'll tell you what, we moved down another 3 spots. You're finally going to get your wish. No more Mark with the C power rankings. These things are just ridiculous.
I think he's setting him up for a big, big rise.
Do you know how much I was wishing you were going to say 28 games left? I cannot wait for the second half of the season. Before we get to the games, let's talk about the big trade that just went down yesterday in advance of today's trade line. The Warriors brought in Steve Blake from the Lakers. We gave up Kent Bazemore, our emotional leader in some respects, and basically the actual live mascot of the team, along with Marshawn Brooks, a D-League guy who came over in the Jordan Crawford trade. We got back Steve Blake. What's your initial reaction, man?
It's a great trade for the Warriors. It really is. Steve Blake is going to be a big piece of this bench. Of course, it really hurts from a fan's perspective to lose somebody like Bazemore, who everyone fell in love with the guy. It was a heartwarming story, and he was really fun to have around. But at the end of the day, they're trying to win basketball games. They're trying to go deep into the playoffs, and this was the move that they had to make. I don't think it's going to affect their chemistry overall. He wasn't that integral of a guy.
I love this move too, man. Obviously, you're right. Losing Bazemore may have some effect on the chemistry, but probably not a big one. I'm sure we can both agree that Bazemore brought skill and passion to the rooting from the bench, unlike anything we've seen since Ronny Turioff was spinning a towel at the back end over there. But really, he hasn't provided any actual value to the Warriors.
No, they gave him a fair shot. They gave him a lot of playing time at the beginning of the season. They made him their D-League star over the summer. and he got a fair shake, and he didn't produce, and he did nothing.
His last moment of significance was in the D-League championship, really. You know, I mean, he does do the Bazemore and all that other kind of cute stuff that made him a mascot. We know he has heart, but what we did is we traded out 2 D-Leaguers for an actual NBA player, and I'm really happy about that. A different way to look at it is that despite the fact that they brought in Jordan Crawford, 2-3 weeks ago, the Warriors are still 29th out of 30 teams in assists from the bench and are also 29th out of 30 teams in points from the bench. Our bench unit still sucked balls, and I'm hoping that this addition is going to change that. 2 reasons why I think it changes it. We still didn't have a reliable person who could bring the ball up steadily. You know, we brought in Crawford. He's a shooter, not a steady hand with the ball. Blake is going to provide that for us, and he also gives us somebody who can reliably set up Harrison Barnes. You know, even though we brought in Crawford, it hasn't really spurred Harrison and towards the player we thought he was going to be. I think a lot of that is that Harrison needs somebody to set him up in locations he can score. Crawford was never going to do that. I think Blake will.
I think Blake is definitely the guy for that because he's a true pure point guard. That's his role, and he knows how to get guys involved. He's also a veteran. I love him because of the Maryland days with Juan Dixon, and at this point, he's a true veteran who doesn't care, kind of like Iguodala, about his stats overall. He wants to win, and so he's going to be fine setting up a guy like Harrison, and then he'll take the open 3 when he has it.
How many people out there do you think know who the hell Juan Dixon is?
Everybody knows who Juan Dixon is.
That's a household name, undoubtedly.
Lonnie Baxter on that team.
Would you go to Maryland or something? We know that you played for the Stanford women's team. Why the hell do you care about that Maryland team?
I'm from D.C.
You have too many damn teams, Scott. Pick a team and stay with them. For point of reference, before we get too far, this year, Steve Blake's been averaging 9.5 points a game, 7.6 assists, and hasn't really been turning the ball over. Only 2.6 turnovers a game. He did have an elbow injury that cost him 26 games, so there's a little bit of an injury concern, but he came back from that on February 4th and immediately put up a triple-double. So I don't think we have to worry too much about any lingering physical limitations. We don't have to take our word for it, though. Here is Bob Myers talking about what Steve Blake can bring to the team.
You know, we've watched him from afar. He's a tough player. He's a good player. He's smart. And we had an opportunity to, we think, upgrade our bench again and hopefully get a player that can help us win some more games. In a specific way, adding a tough kind of experienced player any team would do, no matter what the position. But certainly Curry's played a lot of minutes, Clay's played a lot of minutes. We made a deal for Jordan Crawford. He's been very good in the time that we've had him. So we think this just bolsters the bench, gives us some more options, some more weapons, and a player that you know when you give him the ball you can trust him. And we just think it was a chance to improve our roster, and that was the justification.
Another thing that I love about this trade is it pissed off Kobe Bryant, which is always a very enjoyable thing to do.
I've always enjoyed it.
And he tweeted, "Not cool with Steve Blake being gone, all caps, at all."
Always like the all caps move. It's always exciting when somebody tries to scream while spelling something.
One of my closest teammates and psycho competitor, GS, picked up Gem.
Yeah, well, I certainly agree with that. I wish that Blake had had the same kind of unbelievably positive reaction. Here's what Blake tweeted out, quote, "Real mixed emotions. Hardest thing really is my family. Now I'm going to have to spend 4 months probably away from them. Now I understand the concerns that would come from that. It sounds like he probably has kids who are in school or something. He can't just immediately move them out here to the Bay Area. But if you're going to go public with your initial reaction to going to I would like to call a championship contending team from a sinking ship that is the Lakers. You couldn't give us a positive one first? Just the, hey, glad to be a Warrior or something like that?
Yeah, that was the most disappointing part of this trade. I couldn't believe he came out there like that. I was expecting him to be much more excited. Who wouldn't want to get away from the just disaster of a season the Lakers are having?
How great is it that the Lakers have fallen so far from grace that they're one of the selling teams now, that they're desperately trying to get rid of all their assets so that they have a shot at the number 1 pick in the lottery?
Yeah, they're tied for the worst record in the Western Conference.
And even better than that, even though they have the worst record in the Western Conference, if the season ended today, they'd probably end up with like the 6th or 7th pick because there's so many losers in the East that even this attempt to be terrible is not going to get them that 1 through 3 pick that they so desperately want, you know?
Oh, definitely. It's been a great season from that standpoint. And it's going to be a better second half of the season now that they've lost Blake.
Something tells me that you're really looking forward to that second half of the season, but I'll let you speak on your own behalf. Bottom line is this is just another great move by Bob Myers, a phenomenal young GM who has been hitting, if not home runs, doubles and triples all season long. We still, I believe, are about $400,000 underneath the cap. So if another team decides to cut ties with one of their players, they buy him out or something like that, we still have a little bit of money to make an extra move. And given his track record, there's no reason to believe that Myers is completely done. One last voice before we get too far away from this trade. Here is Steph Curry telling us what he thinks Steve Blake will bring to the team.
You had mentioned before that the additional workload this year with Jarrett gone had already started to wear on you. How happy were you here to hear that 2-point charge?
I haven't really thought about it much. I mean, my two teammates have gone, so I'll kind of assess that. Obviously, what Steve Blake can bring to a lineup, and he has a specific set of skills that will help this team, but it hasn't really sunk in yet. He'll come into the locker room. I don't know if he'll be able to play tomorrow, but he'll help a team just like he's helped every team he's been on in his career, and hopefully he gels quickly, and we're going to welcome him with open arms whenever he shows up.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the one game we have in front of us, man. The 101-92 win over Sacramento. This one was kind of important. We're coming out of the All-Star break. The Warriors are running out of games to play and move their way up these Western rankings, and I think we need to go on a run to really solidify our home court advantage or hopefully get home court advantage in the playoffs. And if that's going to start, it should start against a Sacramento team who is eminently beatable even when they're full power. This game, they didn't even have Boogie Cousins.
They're tied for the worst record with the Lakers, so I wouldn't get too excited about this victory, but it was an important one to get, and it's always good to get off to a strong start, and they did that. And I really liked seeing Klay Thompson actually have an all-around game. He had, I think, 5 assists,
18 points,
and a couple rebounds. So imagine if he becomes a bit of a playmaker. That could be really important to this team.
Yeah, I don't think we have to imagine. I mean, outside of the last recent slump, he started off this year on fire.
No, but I'm not talking about his shooting. I'm saying he had 5 assists. I think that's some of the most that he's had all season. And if he could just learn to become somewhat of a playmaker and draw some more attention, dish the ball, that makes him a lot more dangerous.
Sure. I'd be happy if he just woke up out of the slump he had. We saw that coming into the All-Star break. I think he had back-to-back 17-point games. Now with the 18 and the playmaking assists, I'll give you credit for, but I'll be fine if all he does is shoot. I just want to see him stop sucking ass like he was for the 5 games leading up to his slump-busting streak. The other thing about this game that was kind of interesting to me, sure, we're supposed to beat him. Sure, it's a terrible team who is without their best player, but the Warriors had their own distractions. One, they were also shorthanded. Even though we just came off the break, Bogut is still missing in action. Same bone bruise. The only complication this time is he took a cortisone shot, had a weird reaction to it. Apparently, he still got inflammation, was unable to play. So we went into this without one of our best players, and we're dealing with the emotional fallout of the trade. We kind of opened up while talking about the Blake move that they lost Bazemore, their emotional leader. What does that mean? I, just as I explained, don't think it's going to be a long-term emotional effect, but I do think it affected him in Sacramento, and it wasn't my own idea. I'm stealing it from Steph. Here's Steph talking about how they learned about the move right before the game and how it was kind of tough shaking that when they first came out.
Yeah, it was an emotional start to the game. Nobody had any idea it was going to happen or any kind of idea. So, with a guy like Kent who's poured so much of his passion and soul into our team and his energy for 2 years, it's tough to see the business take over in that sense. And we're going to miss him a lot. And obviously, Marshawn has been here for a short time, but provided some enthusiasm around the locker room as well. So whenever you see 2 of your guys go, especially Kent, like I said, has poured so much into his start of his career here, it's tough. So for us to win this game is a good bounce back from that.
Yeah, Curry did not have a great game in this one, but what I did like is he had 0 turnovers.
Yeah.
which is huge because that doesn't happen very often.
This reminded me mainly because of Steph's quote, but we hear it all the time. The NBA is a business. You got to be ready for the trades. You know, you can't assume you're going to be there forever. But the other side to that, practically speaking, can you imagine working with somebody? You know, like it's your best friend. This is your boy. You see him every day. You've been through all this drama together, training camps, whatever it is. You get all fired up for the game, and then right before you suit up, you find out that your boy's not only playing in that game, but it's gone. Not seeing him again. That's it. He's in a different city, and in fact, he's on a team that you have a pseudo rivalry with.
Yeah, now you're trying to beat him.
Yeah, there's no way that doesn't affect you, man. I mean, there's no possible way that you can't kind of be pissy about it. Or, you know, I remember thinking I'd have a class with somebody in high school, then that person switched out or something, I didn't have him. I was hell of angry about that. I couldn't imagine losing him from a team.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends who still are friends, but if they cancel plans on me, I'm extremely upset, and it takes me a while to get out of the funk.
It's been like 16 months since I didn't bring you to the first game, and you still bitch about it at every option. I think everybody out there knows that to be the case with you. So, I mean, the Warriors overcame it. They are fine. Blake's a good addition, but it really is an interesting thing, something very specific to professional sports, where you could wake up one day, and all of a sudden your favorite coworker is out of your life pretty much forever, you know?
Forever is a little strong.
Forever.
I mean, these guys have phones. They see each other a decent amount. But I think it's also got to be hard from a Steve Blake perspective. Because walking into that new locker room, everybody's already got their inside jokes down.
Sure.
And now you're this outsider, and you need to ingratiate yourself. I would have trouble feeling very confident.
Especially if you're spending most of your time pouting that your family is no longer there and you're not really sure if you wanted to be here. I mean, as far as mixed emotions go, that tweet only expressed one emotion, regret. Maybe you could have given us a second one where he said, here's my happy emotion, and now they're mixed, but it is what it is. Maybe we didn't see the smile on his face when he was actually tweeting it out. For what it's worth, the Warriors were not the only people dealing with these problems. Sacramento, in fact, had the exact same two things going on. One, injury. Boogie Cousins was not playing tonight, who may mean more to them than Bogut means to us. Hard to say. Bogut's our defensive backbone, but Boogie is pretty much their franchise player. The other similarity is that the Kings were coming off a trade too. They had just traded off Marcus Thornton to Brooklyn for Jason Terry and Reggie Evans. I have no idea what Marcus Thornton meant to the Sacramento bench or locker room, nor do I give a single shit what he meant to him, but they were also going through the same kind of extracurricular bonuses, you know, so we're on even footing there, yeah?
Yeah, they're just not as good a team, so they couldn't really rise above that challenge. And you saw what it meant to have Cousins out because the Warriors killed him inside. I think it was 52-32 points in the paint, and that's without Bogut. Yeah,
I mean, the Warriors literally are just the better team, and they showed it throughout this game. They didn't play in particularly well. You talked about that with Steph Curry. Clay played well. D. Lee played pretty well. I think
great second half by D. Lee.
23 and 11. He's becoming that double-double machine we absolutely need. Bottom line is we improved to 3-0 versus the Kings, and we got a win that they desperately needed on an emotional night, so I'm happy to see it. A couple last thoughts. One, Isaiah Thomas sure is better than I thought he was going to be. I remember watching him at the University of Washington. He seemed more like a novelty, like a Nate Robinson. Isn't it cute that this guy is kind of short, can put up these types of numbers, but every year he outperforms anything I've ever expected from him. And since he's on my fantasy team and we won the game anyways, I was okay with the 26 and 7 he put up in this game.
That's always a nice plus. Yeah. Your guy goes off who's on the other team, but he's on your fantasy team, but you still get the win. So it's a great way. Great to have your cake and eat it too sometimes, Graham.
That's exactly right. That is a super canned phrase there, Scotty, but I'll go ahead and take it nonetheless. Last thing for you. This is a game I watched in a bar. I was waiting for a couple of friends, ultimately watched it with them, but before they showed up, I was sitting next to a guy in a Lakers jersey who was openly rooting for the Warriors. Point number one, if you are wearing another team's jersey, are you allowed to root for a separate team? I mean, they weren't playing the Lakers, but what the hell are you doing in a Lakers jersey rooting for the Warriors?
You know where I come down on this. Yeah, of course he can.
I'm surprised you didn't pull up your shirt and have like all teams' jerseys immediately underneath there.
I just have a jersey that's patchwork of all the teams' logos.
Like a NASCAR jacket or something, yeah.
Who's not to say that this guy didn't have some money riding on the game, or maybe he has like a best friend who was a big Warriors fan. So what's wrong with him rooting for the Warriors?
Well, I don't give a shit about the best friend thing, but if he did have money on it, all right, I do. I'll go with that. That's fine. The second half of that is if you're wearing a Lakers jersey, you keep your filthy mouth off my team.
All right. Point taken. I'll take that off next time.
All right. I appreciate you saying that. All right. Now we're going to go a little bit out of order here. We previously recorded the WTH section with Tommy, so before we flip it up over to that, let's knock out a couple of housekeeping issues and then turn it over to our recorded selves. Yeah, housekeeping, I only have a few. First and foremost, Scotty's notes. I love those things. Why are you no longer doing them?
I'm no longer doing them because I have no reason.
You bastard. And you snuck it by me. You didn't say, didn't tell me you were going to stop doing it. It went completely silent. I got all fired up to check the Scotty's notes one time. Nothing's there at all.
Sometimes I need more positive feedback. I wasn't getting it, so I just kind of dropped it. But we might bring it back now that it's been brought to my attention.
What do you want, like a back massage or something? What kind of positive feedback do you need?
Just some type of acknowledgement. I don't think it has to be a back massage.
Scotty, I'm acknowledging you right now. Good job, buddy. I love the Scotty's notes. Go ahead and get them back on there. They were key, I think, to the overall experience. Second piece of housekeeping, and it's kind of not really housekeeping, but it's something I wanted to put in anyways. We didn't get a chance to talk about it when we were talking about the All-Star game with Tommy. Part of the All-Star festivities is that Charles Barkley, before he drank too much and got crazy hungover for Saturday, did an interview with Barack Obama about various things in the NBA, and during the course of that interview, Barack had this to say about Steph Curry.
I got to tell you, Curry, in terms of being able to, off the dribble, get his shot off from anywhere that fast, best I've ever seen. He can shoot. His daddy could shoot, but he could only stand in one spot and shoot, right? He didn't really like to run around a lot.
What do you think?
Man, what it must be like to have the president shouting you out like that.
And an iconic president, too. This wasn't George Bush. I mean, it wasn't somebody canned. This is...
Well, it's somebody who has basketball knowledge.
Uh-huh.
He plays basketball. He watches a lot of basketball. So it's an educated opinion.
Oh, that's exactly right. It's also a quote I would like to see used somehow every week in this show. I challenge you with that. Two things, I guess. You bring back Scotty's notes, I'll acknowledge the hell out of it. I'll include a back massage. I have no problem on that. Also, get this Obama quote in there, man. This is gold. We can't just give up on this.
No, it'll come back around for sure.
All right, let's turn it over to the previously recorded section with Tommy. I hope you guys enjoy it. Another episode of WTH, where this week we try to figure out what the hell is the All-Star game really like, because neither of us have ever been. We've always been confined to the couch watching it on TV, but this time we're lucky enough to have someone who actually has been. We're sitting here with our boy Tommy, who spent the weekend in New Orleans. What's up, Tommy?
Shaking like a leaf, but other than that, I'm doing all right.
Welcome back, big man. We've missed you. It's been quite a few weeks. Let me start by saying you got a little bit of a mixed reaction last time. In fact, we had a few people write in to say that they hated your work and that you were obviously hammered behind the mic, while others really kind of respected your degenerate approach. Anything to any of your fans or haters out there? Or are you ready to just move right on?
Well, I don't remember the entire episode, so I don't really give a shit.
Well, fair enough. If you'd like to relive it, I think it's out there available on iTunes, rather, but no need to dwell on the past, big man. Let's go ahead and focus on the future.
Do we have another beer? I do have another beer. All right, good.
There you go. Focus on that. We want to make sure you get hammered and definitely make a fool of yourself, but at your own pace, buddy. Don't speed into that. Let's get to the focus for this episode, big man. How'd you spend your last weekend?
I was in New Orleans.
A great city, by the way. The only city in the U.S. where I feel like I'm actually in a foreign country.
That's real.
Yeah.
I've never been there. If you go, do you have to pronounce it the way that he just did, or is it still, you can say it however you want? How do you
I can tell that Tommy has been numerous times in order to have that type of pronunciation.
Actually, I've only been there once. But...
Okay.
Way to go, Scotty.
Way to back me up there, Tommy. Try to give him some instant cred, and the dude just throws me under the bus.
Well, let's focus on it. You went to New Orleans. Am I right in assuming you actually went through All-Star Game and all the that was out there?
Yeah, definitely. When I headed down there, I was already down south and rolled down there with a couple friends.
Can you tell us what the connection was? How'd you get involved in it? What was the hookup?
I've got a good friend who basically has a line through the commissioner's office. So we were the three assholes who had access to everything, and nobody really understood why we were there.
So what events did you actually go to over the weekend, big man?
So got in. First thing we hit up was the D-League All-Star Game, which was surprisingly entertaining. I almost dropped an F-bomb there. And then we went to the the partners party, like the NBA partners party, which happens before all of the Saturday night festivities. And after that, we went to the celebrity challenge, 3-point contest, skills challenge, and the dunk contest. Hit all of those up. Then there was a post party for that thing where I got hammered. Then the next night, we hit the All-Star game post party, went to the All-Star game, hit the pre-party, and then I think I passed out somewhere on Bourbon Street.
All right. Well, what'd you see? What'd you do? What the hell happened out there?
So, I mean, we had a good time because every rapper who was a rapper outside of like the Brat and MC Brains was hosting a party there for sure. And all the players were going out. However, as Sparkle explained to me, there's like a divide in terms of like the different strip clubs that people occupy. There's like the strip clubs on Bourbon, and then there's a couple strip clubs that are off the strip where like all the players really go and they do a buyout. So I started out on Bourbon Street and pretty much went to all of them. And at some point I met Sparkle. She was a very cute chick. And she explained to me why, because I was like, where the hell are all the players and why am I getting into all these places so easily?
Oh, so were you going to these clubs in order to see players?
No, I just was going to the clubs, but I was surprised
you noticed the trend. The trend was there's actually no players at these strip
clubs. But not only there were no any players, but like I could get in everywhere, no problem, and I had way too many girls at my disposal. That shouldn't happen if the NBA's in town. On the ridiculously off chance that we do have any female listeners, I'm so sorry for this entire segment. Back to you, Tyler. But it turns out there's a couple clubs that are off the strip, and that's where all the players go. I tried to go to one of those and it was like $1,000 cover. Didn't get it. That was the end of that. You may have seen players somewhere, right? Oh yeah, no. I mean, we definitely saw taking it out of the partying atmosphere into like the more classy atmosphere. Yeah, sure. That was. Well, I definitely don't want any stories on how you didn't see people at places. Why don't we go ahead and focus on the things that you did see there, big man? The NBA partners reception was awesome. We were in there hanging out. It was mostly like execs and like partners and owners and presidents of different teams. Stuffy environment? Very much so. Yeah. Very kind much of formal. So. Yeah, very, very formal. Right. And like we obviously were the three assholes who did not belong whatsoever. What line did you tell just quickly to be in there? My game plan was the two guys I was with were comedians who were doing writing for the new version of NBA Inside Stuff, and we were looking to do like a new sort of project with the NBA, and I was their agent. I was a failed NBA agent, but I moved into comedy because I'm too short. That is one hell of a fallback to go from the NBA agentship to representing people who wrote comedy for NBA's Inside Stuff. Scott, do you remember one joke that has ever been on the NBA Inside Stuff? Well, Ahmad Rashad was full of corny jokes. You know what? You got me there. I don't know if he wrote those on his own. No, apparently it wasn't. It was written by Tommy's clients or fake clients. I met Ahmad, and I just want to say, isn't that guy like 85? He looks like he's 30. Yeah, he looks. It's incredible. Like he has a painting in the closet somewhere that's aging instead of him, and he's definitely. That was literally the joke I told at the party. I should write for NBA Inside Stuff, man. It sounds like I'll represent you. Yes, sure will. Who else did you see there? Saw Avery Johnson, snuck up behind him close enough just to figure out how tall he was. Yep. And there's no way that guy's 6 feet tall. I'm like 5'8". Tops. And you guys are the same height or what? He's like got me by an afro, but there's no way he's 6 feet. Plus, I have no idea what the hell he was saying. I was overhearing him, and that accent is ridiculous. In related news, there's no way you're 5'8". Unless his afro is like 3 feet tall, I'm pretty sure there's a larger difference. Are you going to yell at him for that F-bomb, Scott? God you are damn it. Killing me. Well, I want to hear about this D-League All-Star game because I had no idea there was a D-League All-Star game. Is that even broadcast as part of the All-Star package? I know that Fredo Curry was a member of it. Did you see Seth out there? Oh, yeah, I did see Seth. And Seth was living up to the Curry name at the All-Star this weekend. He didn't play so well, but it was good to see a Curry guy, and I was just happy to see the Curry family throughout the entire All-Star weekend. Yeah. But, yeah, he didn't have so much of a good game. Glad you went. Fun? Oh, it was great fun, man. We showed up, and like there were 3 sections that were occupied, and one section behind one basket that was completely unoccupied. And so the 3 of us took over that, just sat in that one section because we were like, what the hell with it. But then they had a noise competition. Oh. And legitimately, the 3 of us won a noise competition against the other 3 sections, which were completely full. So I had 20 cheerleaders run out and throw like 50 T-shirts at me.
I'm sorry, did you say D-League All-Star Game or homecoming at a high school? Why the hell did they have a noise competition?
Because what are you going to do? It's the D-League All-Star Game.
What were you doing at the D-League All-Star Game?
Yelling at the players and the coaches and the refs. Very inappropriate things. We got shussed by the MVP as he was backing off of a made free throw. It was amazing.
Almost as amazing as the word shussed.
Shushed.
I don't know.
Shushed. I'm not as drunk as last time.
I'm not sure you said that exactly as you wanted to.
I know this isn't a blog.
Settle down. All right. What else, man? What other things you got there? Honestly,
went to NBA Saturday night. Mm-hmm. That was big time fun. I mean, just seeing all of these players walk around, and not just that, like the performance that were associated, seeing players like hang out with each other, because that's more of like a social thing.
They seem like they're friends.
Yeah, and you could actually see it. You know, what I mean?
You saw Durant sitting right next to James Harden at the dunk contest. These are 2 guys who everyone assumed had bad blood on the way it went down in OKC.
Sure.
But it's clearly not the case.
Well, you never know. Like what we see on camera might be different than what's actually happening. You know?
You think Durant and Harden were faking that?
I think that if they knew a camera was in their face, there's a possibility that they would act a lot nicer. But
they
if you're watching the whole time.
Well, so here's a legit comment on that specifically. When Kendrick Lamar went on to perform, they watched that performance together. Like, they made a point of coming out and sitting with each other off camera where nobody could see and watching it. I'm pretty sure one of them, like, may have elbowed Nick Cannon just out of pure joy.
What the hell was Nick Cannon doing there, by
the
way?
Nick Cannon?
Why was he wearing an all-white suit? Why was he there?
What was he doing with those shoes? The guy is the worst. And he looked like somebody punched him in both of his eyes. He was terrible.
As long as we're taking shots at the people who are covering the game, can we say something about Charles Barkley? That fool seemed, only watched it on TV, but he seemed more hungover and haggard than any announcer I can think of in recent memory. That fool got down the night before. Did you see him at any of the strip clubs you frequented, or is he probably one of those ones that you had to
No, I'm pretty sure wherever Charles was drinking, he wasn't going to be anywhere where somebody like me could see, especially given like the Bar Tab article that came out when he was still with the Suns. He doesn't want anybody to witness that but he was hammered for sure.
The overall Saturday night experience, how does that work? Are they all just back? I mean, when I watch them on TV, we go to commercial break, and then magically the 3-point contest is up, or they moved on to the shooting stars, whatever it is. Is it just a continuous thing? I mean, how does that actual experience go?
It pretty much. I mean, it feels fairly continuous. Like, what they break it up with is the all-star assemblage of all of the best cheerleaders in America, and that's who comes out and performs in between, which. One of my favorite parts of the experience. Those girls are amazing. Thank you, ladies. If any of you are hearing, thank you, ladies.
Scott, does his vocal intonations make you feel hella creepy too? Holy shit.
My God.
This fool's lip was hella sweaty when he said that? Oh my God, that was the worst. Can we edit that?
I feel so gross right now. That was
Take a shower, you bastards, and deal.
You are never meeting my mother, wife, or sister. Let me just throw that out there.
So that's what's happening when they're taking down like that stupid net that you throw the ball through during the skills challenge. On the other half of the court is basically girls dancing.
Yeah, there's this huge production crew that's pulling like that whole thing from just like as somebody who throws shows is actually pretty amazing.
Overproduced.
There's this huge production show that's doing overproduced.
I think the All-Star Game's overproduced.
Don't chase that down, Scotty. Just let it go.
Let it go. But there's a giant team that's like handling all of that. Not to mention, like, while I was sitting there, it was just like an increasing. It was almost like they scaled out the famousness of rappers and had them like arrive like in sequence.
I imagine this thing like a heavyweight fight. Like, the first few things are kind of like the undercards. There might be a few people there, not really. You're dealing with the general public. As you make your way up the ladder, you get to the dunk contest or you get to the 3-point contest, there's more and more people.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, exactly, man. It was definitely like that. Like, you started off, and when they were totally confident that nobody was actually watching the telecast, they introduced Nelly. Because he ain't done a damn thing since Air Force Ones. And then when they just sort of kept escalating, all of a sudden, like, 2 Chainz showed up.
Right.
And then we get Drake. And Drake was obviously sitting next to P. Diddy, but they didn't announce P. Diddy. They, like, waited, like, an extra 20 minutes until they got to the real dunk contest.
Which is often actually how real starting lineups go, because
You wait till the last.
Well, the oftentimes nowadays, if like say Steph Curry's the last guy off the bench, he'll already be in the huddle talking to his guys, and then they call Steph Curry. You don't ever see him come out. He just does it on his own.
That's definitely true. And P. Diddy was a part of last year's dunk contest, if memory serves. He had a bunch of super awkward takes into the mic that were awful.
There were two like general WTF moments that happened in like the course of those 2 days. The first was the freestyle session, the freestyle dunk session. The second was when Vanilla Ice showed up.
Yeah.
Whoa, was he introduced as a rapper?
Well, no. Did you watch the George Gervin like ice questionnaire and all this? Oh my God!
I'm not sure
that
we got
on
that
television?
at home. I'm not sure we got that at home.
This is the most ridiculous moment of all of All-Star.
Can I pause and tell you, I had no idea where this conversation was going, but the fact that it led to these two words, Vanilla Ice, make me so happy.
And the next two words, George Gervin.
So happy.
I mean, I understand the Iceman, but still.
Back to you,
Please
Tommy.
proceed.
I can't believe this wasn't on television. So literally, there was a moment, and I was pretty drunk at both. I think it was dunk contest, but it might have been All-Star game. They bring George Gervin up as the Iceman, and they give him this like questionnaire. They were like, "We're going to give you, a series of questions, and we need you to figure out what rapper with the name Ice is actually involved. What is the actual correct answer?" And it could have been Ice Cube, it could have been Ice-T, and I think the entire crowd was hoping it was one of those two. No, it was Vanilla. And, like, they went through this series of questions, which I can't remember, but, like, the last one was, like, they played the music and all you hear is dun, 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 dun. And George Gervin's answer was literally, "Oh, hell yeah, I know who that is," but you should have seen the look on his face because he didn't understand. All of us were confused. There was a humongous what the bleep moment that happened amongst the entire crowd.
But then
then Vanilla Ice shows up. They raised the Vanilla Ice did, like, a 20-minute set.
No.
He did
What?
Ice
No.
Baby. He did Ice Baby. And then he started taking selfies on stage. He took a selfie with the crowd in the back. He took a selfie with Nick Cannon looking at him. He took a selfie with the Warrior Girls.
Do you know
it was ridiculous.
So now we fast forward till today or Monday or whatever. That fool gets back from New Orleans, goes to the tape, is all fired up to see himself on TV, goes to that exact moment and then realizes they did not televise any of that because nobody gives a shit about Vanilla Ice anymore. That's fantastic to
That
me.
reinstills my confidence in American content and television.
Well, I'm glad we could help there, buddy. Glad we could help there. Who else did you see?
That's ridiculous.
Were there past players all over the place?
Yeah, there were past players all over the place. So, like, reeling it back, like, dunk contest, skills challenge, all of that was really fun. It was really fun seeing, like, a bunch of Warriors representation. Steph was all over the place. Good seeing, like, a lot of Warriors fans in there. Just got to see them. Then we went to the commissioner's reception. Had a chance to actually meet Mr. Silver.
Really?
I'm saying Mr. Silver because he helped get me in there via various friends, and he's a really nice dude.
Whoa.
Very nice guy.
Did he think you were a member of Inside Stuff?
Huh?
Did he think you were...
I didn't have the balls to lie to that guy.
Well, what'd you tell him? I shouldn't be here?
No, he actually happens to know the dude who got me in.
Okay.
So, like, I got a direct introduction.
He seems a little
to him.
canned, is he?
No.
What?
Whoa.
No.
What?
He's,
Oh.
Like
he's,
so he's playing the
hilarious.
Bob Saget
Huddle
Full House
exclusive.
thing. Like,
he's hilarious, and he's an attorney. He's got his
He's
game.
not hilarious.
Come
No,
on.
dude, he's hilarious. I'm serious. He's really funny and, like, vaguely inappropriate, but I can't even go into that. He's a good guy.
Can you give us any examples there?
No.
oh my God, get off the show.
Wow.
Yeah, we like Mr. Silver, though. He's a good dude.
Who's the we in that sentence? Because I don't know anything about him.
All of us, asshole.
No, you won't tell me anything about him for me to like him, but I'll take your word on it. All right, fair enough.
He was a good guy. He was a
Nice,
good guy.
outgoing.
Yeah, outgoing, totally engaging. Like,
He seemed comfortable?
he had absolutely no reason to talk to me whatsoever. I meant nothing, and like,
Did
hung
he
out
have
with me for 10 minutes?
Control of the room? I mean, this is
He
his
had
first
a
All-Star
line
game.
of people waiting for him, and like the general like word is like for the last 3 years, basically everybody's only been talking to him because no one likes
Knew
Stern
what was going on. Okay. Huh.
and like knew what was about to
Well,
happen.
my question is, does he seem comfortable? Like, you can go to someone's party, and you can tell that they feel a little bit out of place. They're not sure how to present themselves. They're uncomfortable who they've invited, how to keep everyone
Well,
entertained.
he's incredibly comfortable.
He is. So
yeah,
he's
incredibly like literally a nonstop line, streaming line of individuals
problem.
trying to like no problem.
Did you
This
feel
guy-
rushed in your interaction with him, or did
Nope.
he handle it so well where he gave you everything you wanted and then moved on?
Yeah, no, that guy's a consummate
props to him.
professional around.
All right.
I was very impressed.
That's good to hear, Scotty.
All right, So I met Dikembe. Yeah. That was awesome.
How was that?
I didn't understand 80% of what he said, but I was so happy it didn't matter.
I'm still enjoying this game because I have goal I set to be the best defender and to be the great shot blocker.
Did he reject anything? Did you try to throw something away and he came over and was like, no.
I wagged my finger at him.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you did
He said,
not.
your finger's not long enough.
I do not believe that at all.
All right, okay, I'm a liar, but it was awesome. He was a really nice guy. It was great meeting him.
Good time all in all?
Yeah, good time all the way around. The All-Star game was amazing. Watching it was great.
I imagine this was free for you?
Yes.
Okay, assuming that we had to pay for it, I would have, the whole week would probably be about $1,000, something like that. You think more?
My face value on my All-Star game ticket was a G.
Jesus, are you serious?
Yeah, all in all, if I had to pay for those tickets, it would have been about $400.
So for the average fan, if you were paying all said and done, you're taking a flight down there, you're staying in a hotel, you're attending all the events you went to, the estimated cost on that, what? $5,000, $10,000?
Probably $10K.
All right, it cost $10,000 worth going?
No way it cost $10K, but anyways.
Let's just assume for the purpose of this question, it cost $10,000.
Yeah, about
worth
$10K.
it?
Yeah.
Really? So the average fan out there, you get $10,000.
If you're a huge, not your average fan, but if you're a huge basketball fan, that's like some bucket list shit.
I'll go on record. If I got put in as the all-star starter in New Orleans, I wouldn't pay $10,000 to go there. But that's because I'm a cheap bastard, and it is what it is. How about you, big man? You gonna put 10 G's on this?
I hate the All-Star game. There's no possible way.
Looks like we're going to have to live vicariously through Tommy here. It is what it is. Any of the behind-the-scenes stories makes me feel like an insider, so I appreciate you coming in, man. Good.
Absolutely, no problem. Next year, New York, they're going to split between MSG and the Barclays Center. It's going to be big fun.
Oh, any party shots from you, Scotty? You good?
No, I'm just looking forward to get back to the regular season.
I guess we'll cover that next week. Tommy, really appreciate you coming in, big man.
Absolutely. Sorry I wasn't a little more drunk, fans.
Before we get out of here, a quick quote, and again, I'm going to the Charles Barkley well. In fact, I will be going there until we run out, buddy. That dude has too many entertaining things to say to move on. This instance, Charles Barkley was asked about his thoughts on retiring before the season, and he said, quote, I remember sitting down with the Rockets and saying, yeah, I'm going to retire. They said, well, we'll give you $9 million. And I said, you got a pen on you? God damn, I like that guy, man. Really appreciate you guys kicking it. Huge fun. Please remember we can be found at Twitter at Warriors Huddle. Our email account is warriorshuddle@gmail.com. Our website remains warriorsworld.net, and you can find us on multiple podcast services, the biggest one of which is iTunes. And please get out there, subscribe to us, rate us. Even if you don't mean it, give us 5 stars, and we'd really appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
30 minutes to New Orleans. T, you gotta feel me. Shout out. See, bitch, man. DJ, I can't Gucci backpack, fresh black Adidas, rolling on the pier.
Good.